Ray's Sports and Slams is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back. We are here again. Ray's Sports and Slams every Monday, 6 o'clock. Brought to you by the good old people at Boink Studios. BoinkStudios.com is where you can find us. Tom Clark's 6M podcast. Tom Clark's Main Event. We have Bachman's Basement and the Patton Report. Plus, of course, we start the week with Ray Sports and Slams. Before I bring my partners in crime up, quick shout out to Fernando. What's up, my friend? Jeff Peter, what's up, my friend? Thank you for joining us. Without ado, let's bring the crew on to the stage. Matt Garvin, what's up, brother?
What's going on, America? It's your boy Mack back at it again with my man Ray. Please like, share, and subscribe to Boink Studios.
Boink Studios is where you can find us, and that's where the party happens. And the third musketeer from It's All About Payroll, the third partner in crime, Walter Duncan. What's up, sir?
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be here, America. Glad to be with you all. Let's talk these sports today, man.
That's exactly. Please, again, I emphasize: like, share, subscribe. Hit the heart button. Hit the thumbs up button. The more love, the more support, the better we're doing. So I appreciate all the love, and thank you so much. Oh, Jeff says hello to you guys.
Hey, what up, Jeff?
What's up, man?
Thank you for watching. All right. This is a crazy week in football, so let's get to the grind. The first topic, of course, this Sunday is the Super Bowl. We are down to the final two. We have the New England Patriots and Seattle Seahawks. Two teams that no one probably predicted were going to get this far. I know I definitely did not. But, hey, we are here, and, they're ready to go. I will kick this off and give you my predictions and give you my input, and then we'll go to Mack, and then we'll go to Walt. Drake May, he's an MVP candidate. He's leading the league in passing rating. I think it's about 113 now. He's got a 72% completion percentage. He's passed for over 4,000 yards, 31 touchdowns. He's one of the most accurate football players and most proficient ones in the NFL. The knock on him is that he's played a lot of tomato cans. He hasn't played any real stiff competition, because they didn't do so well last year. As you know, in the NFL, if you're not a really high-ranked team, in a year, the following year, they give you a much softer, lighter schedule. So they've been able to take advantage of that. And, kudos to them. They beat the teams that they were supposed to beat. And, they beat a injury-plagued Denver Broncos team with no Bo Nix. And they are what they are. Seattle, Sam Darnold. I know the Jet fans are rolling in their graves right now. Sam Darnold is the quarterback. 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 14 picks. He's led them to a 14-3 record. He's thrown for 4,000 yards. I think he's tied for ninth in touchdowns with 25. He's got a QBR of close to 100. So he's doing his thing. And I'm going to go Seattle. I think Seattle will expose them. I think the Patriots are a great defensive team, but Seattle's defense is just as strong. And if I'm going battles of the quarterbacks, I'm going Sam I Am this year. I feel like this is his year. I think Sam I Am is going to do it. I feel like at the end of the day, Drake May is a good quarterback. Do I put him in that top 5 top-tier quarterbacks? No, I don't put Sam I Am in that category either, but I feel he's got better weapons. Those receivers make him look better. Those receivers do more things. His running backs do more things that I think will elevate them to win the Super Bowl. Do I think on 3rd and 1 they're going to throw like the last time these two met? I hope not. So I think they have the running back that will end up putting it in the end zone. And at the end, if they're going to do coaching, I think Seattle's coaching is a little better. I think their special teams are a little more profound. New England, like I said, they're just very defensive heavy. I think offensively, Drake is got, a lot of fumbles. I believe, and Walt could probably look this up because he's our lookup king and Mr. Info 411. I think he's probably leading. He's top 10 in fumbles. So he's a fumbling guy. That's not going to help you in a Super Bowl. I feel that could be very detrimental to them succeeding. But we shall see. But I'm going to say, if I'm going to have to give you a score, I'm going to say Seattle 28. I'm going to say Patriots 13. Mac, the ball is yours. What you got? Give me your own 4-1-1.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks again, America, for joining us back again. You're definitely right as far as like what you just stated. Now, I've gone on record last week and the week before. There's divine intervention taking place, America. I share with you guys every time a new pope has been elected by the Vatican, the Seahawks have been in the Super Bowl. Is it by coincidence or by God's grace? I don't know, but they're in the Super Bowl again. So I don't know what you may call that. We've all been aware. We've all seen the scandal of like scripted with the NFL with their logo design of this past season. If you haven't seen it, take a look. There's a photo that was released at the beginning of this season, and the two closest quarterbacks that you see in the photo for Super Bowl 60, on the left is Darnold, on the right is May. So call that what you want to, conspiracy. Everyone will have their opinion. It is what it is. But as far as their schedule, Ray, I'll dispute that with you a little. The only reason why, like everyone tries to blame like their schedule was soft. How would they give a team who was what I think they were 4 and
13.
4 and 13 last year? How about the New York Giants had the hardest strength of schedule with 3 wins last year? So that is an outright, whatever you want to call that. We were bottom of the barrel, and we were ranked the hardest schedule. And we had 3 wins the previous season. So there's no truth to they gave them a soft schedule because of their record. You play who's
I
in
say it's
front
a
of
rule
you.
of thumb they do.
Oh, I know. Rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Well, we were an exception.
Yeah,
to
you
the
were an
rule.
exception to that rule, I guess.
Yeah. So I think the whole idea is like all they can do is play who's in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Call it what you want. Everyone's on the Mayday wagon right now. I hear the kid went to whatever Super Bowl in Santa Clara. I think he said when he was like 13, went to the Super Bowl with his dad. And, you know, the irony, you know, the way of the law of the land or whatever. Now he's playing in a Super Bowl, you know, with himself in the same stadium he watched win it. So do I think that the Patriots are going to win? No. I think 100%. I think Sam Darnold is the truth. Last year he was on display, and you're right, Ray. The Jets are like, how come he couldn't do that with us? Because it's called coaching, America. If you have bad coaching and personnel, you will find success. And there's a reason why the Jets still don't have a quarterback since Joe Namath. They are still looking. So I do believe the Hawks are going to win. As far as the score, I think you're right on, right? Like 28-13, 28-20. I don't think it's – I hope it comes down to the last play of the game because that's what you want to see, like, you know, disparity in the game and everyone – both fans are on the edge of their seat, and if they score, everyone freak out in the house. Everyone starts crying in the house, you know. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, Walt, what you got? What you thinking? And
You guys both
give me your input, dude.
You guys made really great. Both made really great points here. I think Drake May is, you know, he was one of the top quarterbacks. I think he had the top QBR for the quarterback's position this year. And Ray, you mentioned about the sacks, right? He was number 1 of the fumbles. He was number 1 as far as QB fumbles this year. He was ranked number 1. Yeah, 6 loss, right? And so I think that Seattle is going to. With that said, I think Seattle is definitely going to bring that pressure. They're top 10 in sacks this year as a team. The Patriots are, I think, in the mid-20s.
Yeah.
As far as team sacks. So I think Seattle's going to ramp up that pressure. They're going to come after him and really attack him and force him to make decisions on the run and stuff. Not that he can't do that, but I think that's what's going to happen here. You know, I think that, you know, based on all the variables, quarterback play, skill players, position players and stuff, I think that Seattle has the edge from a wide receiver standpoint. They have some really maybe arguably the number 1 receiver in the league, you know, in just his second or third year, you know, in JSN, you know, so it's just he's looking the part, and Darnold is doing his thing, right? And it shouldn't be a surprise, right? Because this has happened before. who's another quarterback that was drafted by a team and that team didn't believe in him and he went somewhere else and had success? Not saying that this is Sam Darnold. So let me preface that.
Mhm.
Brett Favre was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons.
Ah,
Going
yes, he
to the
was.
Packers, right? And ended up finding success. So that was shame on the Atlanta Falcons for letting Brett Favre, future Hall of Famer, go. I'm not saying Sam Darnold's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I do believe that I am, and the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl. And unlike you both, I do not think it's going to be close.
You're predicting a blowout.
I believe that that the Seattle is going to win by double digits.
Okay.
And then I think that they're going to get to Drake May. They're going to fluster him and frustrate him, and then we're going to see Seattle tear them apart, tear them a new one in the second half. And I don't think that yes, the New England Patriots have a good defense, but I think that Seattle's going to have the answers for that in the Super Bowl. And I think Cooper Kupp, believe it or not, even though JS is the number one guy, I think Cooper Kupp ends up having a big game.
Woo, okay. You don't think that
that
the number one receiver is going to have the game. All right. Let's get some comments. Oh, Hawks Nation 24/7. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the love. How about John Staten from the Mariners behind the Seahawks after the Super Bowl? That's kind of nuts.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's kind of nuts, dude.
Yeah.
That's kind of nuts. That's kind of nuts.
I think they had two owners. Like one guy was like a guy who was invested in Microsoft or something like that. It was some tech guy who was a co-owner of the team. But good for him.
Gotcha. And also Jeff is saying that Drake May and the Patriots did just enough to beat the Broncos. Didn't look that impressive at all. And Seattle beat the Patriots handily. Yeah. All right. I guess someone's a little biased. My question now is, and I will go around the horn again with this. Do you feel like it's going to be a battle of the quarterbacks, the battle of the defenses, the battle of special teams? What's going to be the key, I guess, component to this victory? I will say, from my perspective, it's going to come down to offensive juggernauts. I feel like Seattle's got, like you said, and I agree with you, Walt, the number one receiver in football. He's just a beast right now. And I feel like they just have more weapons. And I feel like Sam will make it happen because he has those weapons. Walt, what's your take on this? And Mack, you give us your input. What's going to be the overriding factor?
So I think it's going to come down to, I think it's going to be a team game. I think all facets of the game are going to have to work for whoever wins the Super Bowl. I think that Seattle is going to have it all clicking on all cylinders: defense, quarterback play, offense, everything. I think everything's going to work for them. They have a dangerous kick returner and Shaheed that they got from the Saints. So I think everything's going to work for them. And then the last thing I have to say, guys, is that, you know, Drake May and the Patriots doesn't sound like a good rock band as Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, right? Sam Darnold and the Seahawks have a good ring to it. So there you go.
Dude, that was priceless. You know, that gets an applause.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Sam I Am and the Hawks. Coming to the stage. Sam I Am. And you know what? The irony with the Broncos and Pats game, their coach flat out kicked the ball back to him. I think it was under 3 minutes, and said our defense will stop them. And they did. It was a low score game, like fog, whatever you want to call it. But I was stunned, and I'm like, wow, he's counting on his defense to hold them for him to get a chance to stop to win the game. And they did. I think you're right, Walt, from the standpoint I think it's going to be an offensive game. It's going to be one of them situations where, you know, Ray, you mentioned how the weapons, like that young kid, Jackson Najigma, I forgot how to pronounce this. I think it's a Jigma. That guy has emerged this year for them. I'm sorry, last year he was the truth, and he is this year. And it was more so on display now. In like the last 5 or 6 games, he became this name. I'm like, who's this dude? Enigma. I'm like, this kid. And they were throwing to him, brother. You know what I mean? Like, he was on fire, making critical catches. He sealed the touchdown to win the game for him. You know, so he's going to have an amazing, amazing game. And FYI, another quarterback who was drafted by another team, like you mentioned, Brett Favre, Drew Brees. Drew Brees got a second chance with the Saints. Everyone thinks he was a Saint drafted. No, he got drafted by the Chargers. He got hurt, and then they traded him, and he went to the Saints. Everyone's thinking like destination doom. He recovered from the shoulder surgery, and now he's in contention to be a Hall of Famer now this year.
All right, let's get some comments. Our boy Tom Clark, host of Tom Clark's 6M podcast, heart of Tom Clark's main event. I don't have a dog in the hunt, but when it comes to the Super Bowl, I hope Bad Bunny performs a cover board in the USA while American flag suit and a cowboy hat.
Oh my God,
dude, that is hysterical, and
Absolutely.
You know what? He gets an applause too. I love it, and of course, Marie is here. What is up, Marie? Thank you so much for watching. Seattle's winning the Super Bowl. I agree with you 100%, and thank you for watching. All right, the next big topic that we have is 76ers. George Paul has been suspended 25 games. Here's what I know about it. He's going to be without pay for violating the terms of the NBA anti-drug program. The reason for the evaluation, George released a statement acknowledging that he took an improper medication while seeking treatment for a personal mental health issue. George accepted full responsibility for the mistake, stating, and I quote, "I made a mistake of taking an improper medication," and apologized to the 76ers organization, teammates, and fans. It's a 25-game suspension beginning immediately, starting with the game against the New Orleans Pelicans. He's losing close to $12 million out of his $51 million salary. He's expected to return March 25th when they play the Bulls. This is tough. There's a lot of gray area around here. I'll kick this off, and then we will go to Walt, and then Mack. He could be the Mariano today. I think, from my perspective, if it's a mental health type of medication and not a PED or some type of muscle-enhancing type of drug, I think there should be some leniency towards that. I don't see how him taking an improper dosage of something, unless it's going to affect him mentally and he does something erratic on the court, maybe potentially hurt somebody. I don't know the parameters, so I'm just guessing here, guys. If it's something to that effect, I get it, but 25 games is a lot, and the Sixers seem to be kind of gelling. He actually played very well his last game before this happened. He dropped 32 points. I think he had 11 rebounds, and they won. So it's sad to say, George Paul has never been a guy that gets into trouble. He's a good guy from what I've read about him, from what I've seen about him. Every time I see him speak on one of the sports shows, he seems like a very humble, good guy. It's tough for the NBA. I don't know if they took the exact right approach for this, but 25 games is 25 games. I think the Sixers are in a lot of trouble. I don't know how you're going to come back from a 25-game suspension when there's only, I want to say maybe 30 some odd games left, 40 games left. So I don't know how they're going to come back from this, with your star player being suspended 25 games. This is rough. I know Charles Barkley was saying, he thought it was kind of unfair because, again, this was like a mental health type of medication he was taking. But however, I am not a doctor, nor do I pretend to be one on TV. So I don't know the parameters. Walt, what do you think about this? What do you know about this? And please give me your insight.
Look, I think the NBA has kind of been, steadfast, and they stood on their business. They stood business on when it comes to these drugs and making sure that these players adhere to the substances that they list out in their agreement, right? And so, I think the athletes that have to do a good job of knowing what ingredients are in whatever drugs they're trying to take, right? Even I understand that Paul George was trying to get stuff done for his mental health, and kudos to him for acknowledging that in the statement that he put out. I think it's something that, it's written in ink, and I understand that it is what it is at this point. It's something that definitely should be looked at in the future. Like, hey, is this drug really a stimulant or something like that? It's not a PED, a performance-enhancing drug, but it might fall under the category of stimulant or something like that, right? Based on, but I think they don't want any players impaired, or they don't want any, because the opiate epidemic is an issue, right? So they don't want any players to have any addictions because you represent the NBA. So that I think that's what the NBA is trying to avoid, to make sure that these players are not taking any substances that are going to get them addicted in that way. Do I think the NBA was harsh for suspending him 25 games? Yeah, they could have just made it like, a few games, a handful of games, like, hey, don't do that again. Make sure, or just done an investigation. Why are you taking this drug? And then just kind of find him a little bit, right? I think there's room to grow there from an NBA standpoint, because I don't really think that Paul George was trying to do anything like that. Look, are the 76ers going to miss him? I don't necessarily know. He's been injured this year. He's averaging 16 points, but they still have Embiid. They have Maxey, who's like in the, I think, top 5 or 10 in scoring in the league.
Yes, he is.
Edgecombe, who's the rookie that they drafted. He's really solid. They have Oubre and some other guys coming off the bench. I think they will still be all right in the East to compete until he comes back. But I think the NBA could have done given him a lighter, I guess, suspension.
I agree. Okay, Mariana Garvin, what you got?
Thank you, sir. So here's my thing. He got suspended 25 games. John Morant was suspended for less, and did, in my view, a lot more harm as far as the brand, as far as the league visually. Like, we've seen the mess that he did, and then for that matter, also too, with Golden State, their friend Draymond Green was suspended for less games for his antics also too, which were visible. I guess the difference to me is we're visible to see the situations with Draymond. And then John Morant, it was in the news of the issues he was doing. This guy is a circumstance where America was not, we didn't see it happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we seen Draymond Green act up and they suspended him. Then he got all bent out of shape about the games, everything else. But his antics took place in reference on the court. And Paul George, by all accounts, man, you're right, solid guy. He made a mistake, but 25. I'm wondering what it actually was. You're right, Walt. Is this some kind of stimulant to make this guy play above the rim like he normally hasn't? Okay. And I don't think this was a situation where this would impair him for 5 to 10 games either. If it's something he took one particular time and they drug test the next day and found it, okay, but for 25 games, I think is absolutely insane. And you're right, Ray. It's right tail at the end of the season. I think we got you're right, 35, maybe 40 games most before we hit the playoffs, and this is 25 of them. But Walt, you're right. Maxey is balling. I don't think they'll necessarily they're going to miss him, but at this point, because he's been injured this season also, this may not be as bad as everyone thinks it's going to be, So it's unfortunate, that it's 25 games. I think it's way too many. I don't know if they have a review, if their contract stipulates you can file a grievance for less games if they have something in their CPA for that or not, like they do with the NFL. In the NFL, you can appeal. I don't know if you can appeal and who it's to for lesser games, which I think should be the case. And maybe he did. We just maybe he was able to and still didn't win. Maybe that could be why. Also, it's 25. I would like to think he should have. You know what I mean? But we don't know if they have that in their agreement or not.
All right,
really quick, they do. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
My next question to you is, all right, since neither one of us know what the substance does, well, obviously know it's a medical thing for his mental health. If it's something that, again, I don't want to brownbeat this, it's not going to enhance your performance, make you play better, give you extra strength, extra muscles. Unless it's something, like I said, that's going to react where you could become violent. You could become, snappy, where you maybe tell off an official. How harm could it really have done, But, Walt, to your credit, like I said, the rules are in black and white when you sign these contracts. Yeah. These are the drugs you're not allowed to take. These substances cannot be in your urine samples. If it is, you're going to get suspended. So I 1,000,000% agree with you, Walt, on that, and an excellent point. But to Mack's point, too, and Mack brought up an outstanding point. John Morant, gunplay, gun violence, gets less games. Draymond Green kicks somebody in the family jewels, no big deal. I don't know why a mental health thing is such a big thing. We're to lose 25 games, and it's kind of crazy. And to Jeff's point, Philadelphia has 34 games left, so he's basically going to come back for 10. So I think it's kind of harsh. I agree with you. And Fernando says They've been tested for a long time. He should know what to take and what not to take. No excuses. Fernando, a little harsh, my friend. I love you, but dude, again, he wasn't taking a PED, so I think there's got to be some flexibility. Mac, again, what do you think about that? And Walt, you're Rivera, what you got?
Yeah, it's kind of the same sentiment, brother. If you're going to make something a blanket rule, we want to make sure it's fair across the table. But just like you said, Walt, if this is in black and white, and I blame I shouldn't say blame. He's in charge of what he puts in his body. But whoever wrote this prescription for him, if it was a licensed therapist, she should know the rules of the NBA as well before you decide to prescribe a medication for a particular person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's stuff that they can legally write. But then the real question is, this guy's an NBA player. Her name, whoever that person is, their credibility is now on the line. Like, I don't think anyone's going to go to this person like, well, oh, you're the guy who tried to help him? And no. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that would be my thought process. But the bottom line is, should he have asked whoever gave him the prescription what's all in this? Because ultimately it is definitely a situation where he made a choice to take it. And the real question is going to be, did he look to make sure, like, what's going to, I guarantee you now he will.
Oh, yes. Preach. All right, well,
I mean? Like,
let's get the final. You got the final talk on this before we switch topics. What do you want to say?
Well. I absolutely agree. I think that the NBA could do a better job of, mental health, especially in recent years, as we all know, those that are listening and you guys, like, it's become more central. It's become more to the front, right? And more people are focused on that, right? So a lot of these guys, they deal with anxiety, they deal with different things, right? So why should I think that the NBA should allow those guys to report those things to the NBA, like, hey, I struggle with anxiety, I struggle with depression, I struggle with these different things. And so my doctor is prescribing me this, or the team doctor is potentially prescribing me this. Like, let me take this instead, right? I think NBA could become, I guess, more modern in their thinking for those things, and make sure that those guys are good, right? Because some guys need those medications for their livelihood and their self-care, right? And so
100%.
I think, at the end of the day, you both were right. Like, he is in charge of knowing what's in the CBA, having somebody on his team. A lot of those guys make millions of dollars, and so they have somebody, a legal representative or legal assistant, to let them know, like, hey, I'm thinking about taking this medication. Can I do it before I get prescribed that? Or whatever. Like, or did somebody that was a friend of a friend, like, hey, I know you struggle with anxiety, take one of these, and then he takes.
I hear you.
Right? So you don't really know. So I think at the end of the day, you both are right. It falls on Paul George to know what he's putting in his body and knows how that may impact his livelihood.
100%. All right, we're going back to the NFL. Bill Belichick is not, I repeat, not a first ballot Hall of Famer. The news is in. Bill Belichick was passed for the 2020 Physics Hall of Fame, despite his historic resume with 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, reportedly due to a combination of lingering baggage from Spygate and Deflategate scandals. New voting procedures require 80%. Unfortunately, he received below that. Some voters were hesitant to vote for him on first ballot due to his quote-unquote cheating scandals, which occurred. Spygate was in 2007. Deflategate was 2015. A lot of people have a lot of resentment towards him because of these two things. I will kick this off. Mack could go second, and Walt could be Rivera. What my eyes tell me is Bill Belichick is not the most friendliest guy in the world. He's not the most charismatic interviewer in the world. He is not Mr. Personality. He is not Mr. Shake hands and kiss babies and all that stuff. And I think it's personal. He got caught cheating. I'm not going to defend Spygate or Deflategate or that idiotic tuck rule. However, you got to look at his resume. The guy's got 6 rings, 8 championships. The guy's a winner. You cannot not put him as a first ballot Hall of Famer because you don't like him as a person. That's personal, and I think the NFL should be above that. And unfortunately, they're not. And I think it's asinine that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. So, Walt, I'm going to let you take it.
Look, so I understand why especially when it comes to cheating. You think about this is a different arena or a different sport. Think about Barry Bonds. You think about Mark McGwire. They are great players. We talked about this in another show. Like Barry Bonds could hit the ball without taking PEDs or HGH or whatever he was taking, right? Or steroids. Mm-hmm. So he was a hell of a player. Bill Belichick was a hell of a coach, but they got caught up in these scandals, which kind of tarnished their names. And so people look at that, and that's that asterisk, when you try to come up for the Hall of Fame ballots, people are going to weigh that against you. It's common in sports. So I'm not really surprised that, I thought he still would have gotten in, but I'm not really surprised because people lump that cheating scandal with him and his tenure, right? And so it's not surprising to me at all when it comes to those things.
All right, Mack, you're going to be the closer. I know you've taken a lot of notes about both of these scandals. So first, tell us what you know about both of these, when they happened, what transpired, and then obviously I want your opinion on this.
No problem at all. All right, so we'll start with the first incident. I mean, the tuck rule, I mean, America, it was the 01 season going to the 02 championship tuck rule. That really doesn't have anything to do with as far as like scandal in reference to the Patriots organization. I mean, that was a referee deal. It just so happens that the Pats were involved in a critical game against the Raiders, and it became a big deal. Like, one deal of like, why? Now, mind you, they went on and went to Super Bowl that year. The whole situation with Spygate America is simple as this. Apparently, this was the 07 and the 08 going into the 08 season, right? What happened was this. The way it was explained is how this situation with Spygate, because of they obtained video footage of some of the practices with other teams, they make these cue cards that we are not privy to see, that they show to the offense or defense. And now you see coaches like this when they're talking to their player. This is what you see now. So you can't see what he's actually verbally saying. And so they do that because of the Spygate situation. I don't know if it was across the board memo. If you want to communicate to your players, we don't want to take a chance of people reading your lips. So put this in front of your face. All of them do it now. Even OCs and DCs do it, besides the head coaches. So the problem is this. They got found out about, and this was the first time that this is directly related to Belichick as the coach, not necessarily the quarterback. Now, what happened is the organization, the Patriots got fined $500,000 as an organization, say we're slapping your wrist. Bill Belichick personally, because he's the coach, got fined $250,000. Now, the irony of this situation in 07, at that point, they had won 3 Super Bowls. So if Spygate was a real issue, they went on to win 3 more. So obviously, you can say that was the circumstance, but if they're able to win 3 more after that, I can see if they never won any more after that, it's really because of they were stealing signals and then you videotaping other teams, and that caused them not to have this edge anymore. But they won 3 more after it. Agreed. So America, you can think what you want to think, but if they won no more, then we would 100% say that was the reason why.
All right. Well, I know you have a famous quote that Joe Montana said. What was that quote?
Look, Joe Montana about, I think, Deflategate specifically, Deflategate specifically. He said that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You know what I'm saying? So like everybody in the league is trying to get a competitive advantage, right?
Absolutely.
So, stealing signals, like you said, that's why the play callers are covering their faces now. Like I think all levels of sports, you have to worry about some level of cheating. People filming, the practices and, in preparation of the games, there's always something going on that you have to look out for. And unfortunately, like you both said, unfortunately, the Patriots got caught.
Yes, they did. They get caught, dude. Maurice, thank you, my friend, for watching the show. Great point. They did win 3 more. Yeah, Mack brought up a very valid argument. All right, we're going to go into the world of boxing. We talked about this last week, but Shakur Stevenson beat the Dribbins of Timo Lopez unanimously to become the new WBO 140-pound champion. People are talking about this. Shakur is now 25-0. He's 28 years old. He's a southpaw. He's a 4th division champion now. He claimed the WBO super lightweight title. They're saying he's got the best defensive skills they've seen since Floyd. Timo Lopez was 22-1 at the time. His big noticeable victories, he beat Vitaly Lomachenko and Josh Taylor. Now, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because I'm not really a fan of this. He wants to step up to 160 and fight Conor the Destroyer Benn, who is an undefeated British boxer. He is 24-1, 14 knockouts. To jump up to 160, I think is not the right move. If he really wants to fight Conor Benn and make that big money fight, which I respect. I understand, Shakur, you want to make money. This is for a lot of people are saying in the boxing world, this is like Leonard Duran, Hearns, Hagler. You know, Ben Stevenson would bring in the money. People would come to fight. People who are boxing fans would come to see this fight. I think Stevenson should have 2 tune-up fights, maybe at 154. Before you jump up 2 weight classes to 160 and fight Conor Benn. Conor Benn walks around at 168. He drops to 160 to defend his title. Right now, Shakur, you're walking around, luckily, maybe 140, 142. To me, you know, I understand the excitement. For you to call him out in the middle of the ring after the fight, for those who watched it, Conor Benn and say, I want you. I don't know if it's the right move. Your management should have stepped in and said, hey, dude, you know, I know this is good press, but I don't know if this is the right move. This is kind of crazy. Mack, what you got, what you think? And obviously, Walt, you will be the Mariano here.
No problem, brother. Yeah, listen, we all thought Stevenson was going to win, flat out. He's got the pizzazz. He's got the moxie, whatever you want to call it. He wasn't the champ. He was trying to beat the champ, and he did. You know, listen, in the great immortal words of Ric Flair, to be the man, you got to beat the man, brother. Woo! And so Stevenson did. I think, Ray, you're 100% right, bro. To jump up, just skip 2 weight classes to 160 is absolutely it would be muscle. It would have to be muscle for him to try and do it. But, bro, you're right, Ray. Tune up 154. A couple fights, show that you're worth it. Don't just, you know, oh, I beat this guy in this weight class and now I want you. And you're right. Someone should have said to him, listen, pal, if you win this fight, let's not bring up Conor. All right. Let's do us all a favor here. You know, so I think it's a very bad move. And that's if Conor wants to.
Oh, Conor said that when they went in the ring. Conor was like, you don't want this. You don't want this. Yeah. He said, if you watch the replay of the fight, yeah, dude, he was like, dude, you don't want this. I'll destroy you.
Yeah, and I get it. You're right. Again, it's the moxie, the swag, the Ric Flair mentality. Like, you know, I am the man. You know it. You need me to help your numbers. I'm going to bring the splash. I think it's going to happen. But, man, I don't – you can't just put on that much weight and don't have knockout power. Like, bro, like, you recognize your lane and stay in your pay grade, and he's not willing to. And if he loses, it'll be like we all thought so.
Preach. All right, Walt.
Yeah.
I hear you thinking. I hear you. What you got? I see the looks on your face like, ugh.
So I want to, like with Lopez, I want to speak to this first, right? Before I get to the thing. Like, if you saw like the pregame, like the weigh-ins and stuff like that, Lopez was really animated, and he typically is. And Shakur was just sitting there watching and looking, and he was focused, right? And I think that focus was the difference in this fight because, you know, Lopez was more of a showman. And
yes.
Shakur was like, no, I'm on it. You're my target. I'm going to snipe you down. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's exactly what happened. Now, with Conor Benn and him trying to go up, it's not too far-fetched for boxers to go to different weight classes. But for him to make that much of a leap, I'm not sure about it. Like, he would put on muscle, and he knows how to box. He has a great defense, and he has a great jab that we saw on display versus Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not sure about it. Like I think you're absolutely right here, Ray, that he needs to have a couple of tune-up fights, at least one tune-up fight before he gets in the ring with Conor Benn, who's a solid boxer in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
50% of his fights have been via KO.
14 knockouts. I'm going to go back to this, and I want your opinion again. Conor Benn is no joke, folks. He's been the champion for a minute. 14 knockouts, dude. I think he's had 3 or 4 in a row. He walks around again, probably 163, 164-ish, maybe 168. So he defends at 160. I don't think Shakur is, for him taking this fight with Lopez to go up to 140, he had to put on weight to do this.
Yes.
So now, Mack is big into nutrition. I know Walt is as well. I am as well. To put on 13, 15 pounds of muscle, dude, you're not going to put that on overnight. Like, you could put a bunch of fat on you really quick, go to McDonald's and have 15 Big Macs, but to do it the right way, dude, it's going to take time. And, like, to step up and call him out. And, Conor Benn's, he's a Lopez type of guy. He's a showman. He loves the hype. He's got different color hair all the time. If you've seen the guy, he's a character. He's from London. I don't know if it was the right move. I think Stevenson is quiet, like you said, Walt. He's not a braggadocious type of boxer. He's a very calculated type of guy. And I think his management, to Mack's point, should have said, like, look, dude, he pumped the brakes on calling this guy out in the middle of this fight after you just won. To call him out, I don't know if it was the right move. So again, Walt, what you think? And Mack, again, you could be the closer.
Sure. I don't think it was the right move yet. I think he should definitely have a tune-up fight. Look, there have been boxers who have jumped from different weight classes, right? And we saw Sugar Ray Robinson. He went from welter to middleweight. He won titles, at both. Manny Pacquiao, he's won in, 12 major titles in 8 different weight divisions, right? From flyweight to super welterweight. So, like, boxers can succeed at it. Can Stevenson fight? Yes, he can. Can he beat Conor Benn? I'm not so sure yet. Maybe when he puts on weight, I guess we're gonna have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I agree, man. You're right. Ray, you made a great point, flat out saying, how about a tune-up at 154? Let's see if you got it. Like,
Exactly.
what I mean? It's going to take him. I mean, he's I think he weighed in at 142, if I'm not mistaken.
142.
Yeah. So 142 and the walk up 16, brother, that's going to take at least 4 months of weights to really bulk to get to that. They're like consistent. And you're right. You can go shove take a big giant oatmeal and eat 4 sandwiches right before weighing to get to 160 if you're at 158, right? I mean, you can do it. Water also too. That'll get you there, but it's not your natural weight. When you have to move your body with this extra weight on you, it's harder to do when someone's punch you in your face. It has to be a part of your body now, and you getting used to this difference, in the ring as far as conditioning. Like, you can put the weight on, but if you don't have the conditioning, it's not going to help you.
Yeah, because you're talking about 17, 18 pounds of muscle. That's not going to come that easy.
Like, and then condition your body with that stamina, with that weight. Well, then you'll lose some when you start conditioning. Like, it's got to be a natural progress. It's going to take him at least 6 solid months to put that right weight on and manage it well and have the conditioning and sustain that weight. And that's nothing to sneeze at, bro. Like, he can do it. It's just going to be hard.
Some comments. Brothers, BK Sports Entertainment. What's happening in the Boink Studios? What's up, guy? What's up? Thank you. I appreciate the love. And Fernando Morris brings up a bullet point. Yeah, he kept Lopez on the outside. He used his jab. He's a southpaw. I'm not knocking Morris his boxing skills. What I'm saying is, you just made 140, 142-ish. Now you want to fight 160. I just feel like I said, like Mack said and Walt said, take a 154 fight, dude. Fight a top contender at 154. See what happens. Then, you step into the lion's den. You don't, step into the lion's den right off the bat with a piece of raw steak in your hand. Like, slow it down. Slow it down, dude. Like, people are sleeping on Conor Benn, dude. I've watched his fights, dude. The dude is no joke. So I'm like, I don't know. All right, we're
He
going
is
to Walt's favorite
tagged up.
sport. And it's the NBA. LeBron James is in as a reserve in the All-Star game, and Kawhi, I am hurt. Leonard is out. A lot of people are very surprised at this. I myself am not. Kawhi is always hurt. Kawhi's load management. I'll give LeBron his flowers. I think he deserves to be in it as a reserve. I'm glad he's okay with that. I'll go to you, Mack, first. What do you think of this? And do you agree that LeBron should be the replacement for Kawhi? Should they have gone with somebody else?
Well, if I remember right, last week we talked about how he was not selected as an alternate, and would he be okay? And would someone give up their spot for him to make him a starter? And we all agreed, nah, like, bro, you're a great player, but like with Michael Jordan and Vince Carter, Vince gave his spot up because of respect and admiration for Mike. And Mike said, no, man, no. And Vince was like, no, dog, this is you. You need to be here. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then with LeBron, and I'm like, you're an alternate. Hope he accepts it well. And you're right, Kawhi, you can't count on him. I said this earlier, America, the best ability is availability. And the fact that Kawhi is injured is why he's not, says a lot. And I guess LeBron, the vote said, sure, we'll have you as backup then. So I mean, if this is his last year, I think we can all agree. I don't think this is his last year because he's not doing the swan song process like other players have done. Like Kobe's last year, this is it. And he took the farewell tour, but I don't see LeBron just at the end of the season say, I'm done, because he's played this long, without him having a farewell swan song tour also. Like he needs that. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, he's either going to accept it or not. And will he come off the bench? Yes, he will, because someone will at one point in the game say, I don't want to anymore, and he'll come in the game.
Okay.
So
what you got, Walt?
No, I absolutely agree with you there, Mac. I think that, there's a lot of up-and-coming youngsters in the NBA, a lot of exciting players who is going to become their league, after, LeBron is gone. So I think it went down the right way. I think that it honestly worked out the way it was supposed to work out. LeBron is going to play in the game. Someone's going to, say, hey, give LeBron my minutes, just in case, like you were saying, this is his final season. I don't necessarily know if it is, but, in case it is, there's going to be somebody who's like, hey, give King James, his due in the All-Star game and let him show out and have fun with this. Now, switching over to Kawhi, you hit the nail on the head there, Mac. Like the best ability is availability, right? And how many games do you think Kawhi has missed since 2019? You don't have to guess, I'll tell you. Over 200 games.
Over 200.
200 games since 2019. So if you think that, like, that's almost like 3 seasons worth of missed games.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. That's insane.
So, like, I understand why Kawhi didn't get in. Like, he's still a great player when he's healthy. Like, he's still dominant. He's still showing that he can still play. But, like, he's just injury. He's just all these injuries that just tore him up, and like load management. Like, I don't know. Like, it makes sense to me that Kawhi didn't get in.
All right. Yeah. We're switching to tennis, and Senor Carlos Alcaraz defeated the man known as the God, Novak Djokovic, 6-2, 6-2, 6-3, 7-5 to win the 2026 Australian Open, becoming the youngest man in history in his career to win a slam at 22. He has now won his 5th major, and he's obviously ranked number 1. He's the youngest to win the Grand Slam. He's won every major tournament out there. I think sky's the limit for this guy. I think he is the truth. He's only 22 and he's only getting better. Djokovic is still a monster at 38, and Carlos beat him like it was nothing. It's scary how good this guy is at 22. I think his serve comes in at like 137 or 138. Dude, I think his first serve is like 93, 94%. So he's not a double serve guy. He's getting that first shot over. He doesn't have much flaw in his game. The only small flaw, and I mean minuscule, is he's not as effective, meaning I think his first serve is probably in the lower 90s on clay, which is still phenomenal. But other than that, dude, this guy is the prodigy, the king of Spain, the king of tennis right now. I don't know who's ever going to beat this guy, but kudos to him. Mac, what you got? Walt, what you got?
Okay, so I watched the finals also too in reference to him, and you're right in his serve. It seemed like after the first round, it was 6-3, just like you said.
Yeah.
But I saw Djokovic like really taking it to him. I'm like, okay, he's got this. Like that was like my mentality. We know what Djokovic has done and can do. And I think Father Time at 38 is finally knocking. And if this isn't a sign for him to say, all right, that's enough, I don't know what Djokovic would be playing for at this point as far as career that he has not accomplished. And you're right, the game has been elevated. These younger players are now coming into the game. And this kid, for him, you're right, 22, the youngest, he had nothing to lose. If he didn't win, everyone would be like, well, you played Djokovic. That's why. Like, for him, it was under the radar success. And I'm going to just play my game like I do. If I win, I do. If I don't, I don't. Djokovic was trying, I think, harder to win. And this kid had no fear but to say, I'm going to give it to you as best I can. So I will give him props and credit for winning. I thought absolutely the first series 6-3, I'm like, all right, Joe, he going to figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? And he won the second set, and then the third, and I'm like, oh, it's over. And of course, the kid's reaction falls to the ground when he just realized, I just won. You know what I mean? So I love how when you see this kind of thrill talent come along, he reminds me of Andre Agassi in his early career. You guys would probably have to look him up to see who he is, America. He was a great tennis player, American tennis player way back in the 80s, 90s. So I do believe he's got the opportunity. He's going to get all the endorsements now.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone's going to want him now, when you win, especially you beat Djokovic. So, yeah, we'll see what happens now for his career moving forward. And is he a one-hit wonder, can't do it anymore, or was this the best we'll ever see from him? What is the question mark now?
Well, to win every slam tournament at 22, and Djokovic was going for his 25th.
Yeah,
so,
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Was it he had the moxie for this year? Is he going to be able to sustain that kind of success will be the question mark, because he had this great year in the sun. Will he have continued success will be the question mark.
All right, well, what you got?
Look, I think that, this guy's a really great player. He's ranked number 1 in, as far as tennis players are concerned. I think the sky's the limit for this guy. He's really talented. I think he's a great player in that sport to come. Because think about it, Djokovic, I want to give him his flowers here, right? He's been great for so long.
Yeah.
He's 28 now. And I think in the top 20, as far as the rankings are concerned, he's the only one who's above 30 years old. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's how good. That's a shout out to Djokovic here to say, like, how good he's playing. He's still playing really, really well, even at that
phenomenal
age, that he has. Like, so I think that, that Alcaraz is going to continue to, be in contention for many slams to come. He's 22 years old. I think he's going to win a lot more career slams in his life. And, Jannik Sinner, he's up there as well. So I think he's going to be competing with those guys to be the face of the sport. And right now he is.
He is. And he's a clean-cut guy, and people like him. So kudos to him. All right, our final topic. The NBA trade deadline is this Thursday. Right now, the only big trade is Dennis Schroeder's been traded for the 8th time or 9th time in his career, which is crazy. Only Trevor Ariza has been traded more, which is really bad for poor Dennis the Menace. The big question is, where is Giannis going to go? Right now, the 2 biggest suitors are the Golden State Warriors, who are willing to give up a lot. They're willing to give up the big baby Kuminga. They're willing to give up some draft picks, and I think Draymond. The Lakers are willing to give up Austin Reeves, Rui, bunch of picks. I think some coaching staff to get this guy. I don't know what's going on. Do you see Giannis ultimately still leaving? Because right now, I think they're asking for a lot, and maybe teams are just not going to do it. Do you see any big trades happening before Thursday? I will go to Mack first, and then I'll go to Walt.
Okay, America, we talked about this last week. The issue of now the fan base booing him and him booing the fans back marks the end in my mind. The GM can say, all right, we're going to try and orchestrate a deal. You had a chance to build around him. You tried with a couple different players. Game time, it didn't work out with him, unfortunately. So Dame Lillard, they got him. He got hurt. It didn't work. But that's the only effort that they've made since they won the championship. And so I do believe like this is beginning again. I think you're right. It comes down to who offers the most, because he is a generational talent, and Golden State has a lot of first round picks. You can have picks, but they have the most first round picks to offer, unlike the Lakers and and maybe another team. I know the rumors that he wants to go to New York, but I just don't think they have the capital to do it. Like they'd have to give up too many players also.
And they're not going to trade Jaden Brunson. I'm sorry, I had to cut you off. They're not trading Brunson. There's no shot.
Yeah, that's why would you do that? We're going to swap our number one for our number one. They're not. The whole idea is for him to go there and join him, So I think that's the issue, But if they don't do it now, they'll have more suitors in the offseason when it comes to the draft, and we'll see if teams really get into the tanking business to try and get the number one overall pick. And I think that'll be the deciding factor, coming into this. If they do the trade right before the draft, and then if Milwaukee says, well, if there's a team who's got the 6th pick versus someone who's got the 12th, would they be more inclined to go with the team that has the 6th because they have their eye on a player? So it's going to get ugly right now.
All right, Walt, you end this. What you got?
Look, I'm not sure if Giannis is going to get traded or not. I think it depends on how bad these teams are going to try to compete this year, because that's what you're trying to do, right? It's like, hey, are we going to go all in because Giannis is going to help us compete for a championship this year, or do the Bucks say like, hey, nobody's giving us what we want, all the capital that we want, so we're just going to wait. We're going to just put Giannis on the bench and just quote unquote tank and without saying it, right? And so I think that ultimately, I think that he does get traded.
Okay,
that's my gut feeling on it. I know that a couple of weeks ago when I mentioned Golden State being the team that that was received with some skepticism and stuff, but I think that Golden State wants to win. Now, with that being said, they do have the most picks, like you said, Mac, but it would have to probably move either a Draymond's contract or a Jimmy Butler contract. In order to get that done. And I don't know if the Bucks are going to want to take on an injured player's contract like Jimmy Butler, right? And how many years does Jimmy Butler really have left in his tank? He's 36, 37 years old right now.
Exactly.
And will he start the I don't want to be here deal? That's how he moved. That's how he made it to Golden State.
Yes.
Like, I'm not happy. Well, the contract says you should be.
All right. We are going to the final buzzer. This is where you guys ask us anything about anything. Get your comments in. We're going to close this out. We've got about 3-4 more minutes left. Let's get into it. Let's see what people have to say. Maria says, if the Knicks didn't foolishly give up so much for Bridges, they would have had enough to get Giannis. Preach.
Wow.
Mikal Bridges is not that dude. You wasted a lot to get him. I will co-sign on that comment. Agree. I see Walt looking at his head, and he's a Mikal Bridges fan.
No, I'm not a Mikal Bridges fan. I think that the Bucks wanted Towns. They wanted Cat.
They're
not really. The Knicks are not going to give up Cat for Giannis.
Okay. And of course, brother PK Sports, it's true. As a New York fans, we're not sure to trade for Giannis. That means we're not sure we would get Cat back then, including Deuce.
Deuce was probably a big fall of the clip. Yeah.
If they look healthy. I agree. All right.
Yeah.
All right. And Fernando says the Bucks should try to tank big time, having the Greek freak and the number one pick. Yeah, that'd be the smartest move for you guys, to tank now and keep the Greek freak and then build around that.
But would they have enough? But what the NBA is the lottery balls. Like
they would have a lot of balls though.
They'd have a lot of balls, but we've seen it how Orlando that one year got Shaq, and then the luck of the draw, they had one or two, and they won the number one overall pick again, and that's how pity came. So there's no guarantee with the balls, unlike the NFL, because it's less games. the one who has the worst is getting number one pick. Like, so it would be hard to do, but you're right. They would have more balls at this point. It feels awkward saying that if they entered right now, like, and lost the rest of the games, so.
I agree.
So, yeah.
And Jeff says, don't be such a hurry to get knocked out. We're talking about Connor Ben. Yeah, Jeff, I agree. Like right now, stepping into that, you're asking to get knocked out. I don't know why you would want to do that. So
don't be Jake Paul.
Yeah, exactly. And Fernando's I'll let Fernando be the last question. If you were the Lakers, how much and who'd you give up to acquire the Greek Freak? Okay, Fernando, I will go first. I would give you a couple of draft picks. I would give you Rui, and I will give you Dalton and Gabe Vincent. I'm staying on my land. I'm not giving you Austin Reeves, dude. I'm sorry. No.
Thank you.
No, I'm Destiny's Child. No. You say yes, yeah. No. All right, Mac.
If that would, listen, Ray, if that would help seal the deal, it depends on what you're right. Listen, okay. All right. Okay, Ray. All right. This year, Austin Reeves emerged. The Phoenix out of the fire, whatever you may want to call it. Last year, you're like, who is that dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like last year, we had no worries about this guy, but now this season, because he started gelling well with Luke, and then he was gone. And when LeBron left, got injured, and he was like, bro, Austin, this dude's the truth. He's the truth. I'm like, yeah, this year, but you had no talk about him last year. He's been with the team for what? This is rookie deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 years. Yeah, this is the last three. Like, who's this dude? But now he emerged from the fire, and now he's a great asset. Now you're like, oh, we can't lose him. But last year you had no idea who he was or didn't care.
All right. Walt, I'm gonna let you get the last day today.
So look, I would try to not give up Austin Reeves, right?
Thank you.
I would try. Look, it will be very hard to do because he's a young up and coming player. He's very dynamic. Can shoot, can score, can assist, can do all those
things. Can go left, can go right.
Yeah, and so I think what I would do, the package I would present a package of Rui. Maybe I'll get Gabe Vincent out of there because he's not really doing anything anyway. He's just sitting on the bench. And I would throw in LeBron.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
We're throwing LeBron. You know what I'm saying?
I'm okay with that.
You get LeBron coming to that market, so you still have a big name player. And will the Lakers do it? Absolutely not.
No. But I would do it.
In order to get Giannis, you would have to throw some sort of name at them in order to try to garner some type of interest. And if it's not going to be Austin, it has to be the King.
Okay.
But he has a no trade clause.
Yeah, so, I guess, gang, you got to look at it like that. Yeah. Like to give LeBron up is going to be hard. He's not going to leave. All right. That concludes our Super Bowl episode of Race Sports and Slams. I want to thank you guys again for joining us. Please, again, I emphasize, like, share, and subscribe. Go to boinkstudios.com. Follow the show. Mac, let you say your parting words.
Absolutely. So, America, we all will be watching the Super Bowl this coming year. I'm looking forward to the halftime performance. I just want to give a shout out to everyone. Just, keeping in touch with loved ones of whatever their life may be going on. Share some opportunity time with some friends you may not normally do on this coming Super Bowl Sunday. So enjoy, America. We can't wait for it. We'll be all watching intently.
All right. Stay in the studio. All right, Walt, say your parting words.
Man, thank you, America, for listening. You guys make the show a blast. We're happy to do this. If you want to learn about payroll, check out It's About Payroll, our podcast. We're on LinkedIn. Just Google or search us, and we'll find us some great information about it. Glad to be here, Ray. You killed it again.
I appreciate it. You killed it, man. There goes another episode of Race Sports and Slams. I want to thank my guys again for joining us. I want to thank you, the fans, for watching. Enjoy your Super Bowl. Be safe. Make sure you guys watch. And, let's see what happens. But I will see you next week. Thank you. God bless. We out.